Hey guys, it's Angel and welcome back to Making Baby Taylor. Today I'm going to tell you the 10 baby names I love but won't be using. Now I'm doing this as part of a collab with other members of V Loves Collabs group, which is run by Veronica over at V Loves. So I'm going to put a link in the description so you can go and check that out. Also in the description will be a link to the playlist so that you can watch all the other videos from the other participants and see all their wonderful names that they came up with as well. Now if you're new to my channel and just aren't aware, I'm just going to talk real quick about my kids' names. My son's name is Kaladin. He's going to be turning 5 next month, and we just really wanted a name that was very unique and also still very strong and masculine. Our daughter's name is Kerrigan. She is 2 years old, going on 2.5, and we've just always loved her name. My husband brought up this name when we were first dating almost 15 years ago. He just always said he wanted to name his daughter Kerrigan, and I just loved it right away as soon as I heard it. So with that said, obviously we tend to like more unique and rare names, especially because our last name is Taylor. It's a very common last name, and there are members of my husband's family who have common first names who have run into legal issues and things like that because they share their name with so many people. So we've always had that goal in mind that when we name our children, we want them to have more unique names so that they wouldn't have to worry about that. Now let's get started. The first name I'm going to talk about is one that I have loved like pretty much my whole life. I have a cousin who's only about 2 years younger than me, and this is his name, and I just love this name the most out of every other name, but I just can't use it, and that's because it's Jacob. When my cousin Jacob and I were kids, it was not a super popular name. It was a little more obscure back then. You didn't really hear very many people with that name. However, it has skyrocketed in popularity over the past couple of decades, and in fact for over a decade held the #1 spot. In 2015 it was ranked as number 4, and because it has been just so popular, we did name our dog that we used to have Jake, and he was just the sweetest dog. We really miss him a lot, so it was nice to be able to use that name in some context. It just was never a name I could actually use to name my son. And the first girl's name that I really love is Amelia. I just love how it just rolls off the tongue. It's just so feminine and gorgeous. But unfortunately, it's also a very popular name, especially over the past couple of years. Last year, Amelia ranked number 12, which is really extremely high on the popularity list. And I can see why. It's a gorgeous name, just not one that would work well for us. The next name I really love is Silas. It's a name that used to be pretty obscure, but just over the past couple of years has really gained a lot of popularity, and last year ended at number 129. A couple of my friends have sons named Silas, and I just really love the name. I just love how it sounds. It's so masculine and strong, yet also just sounds so wonderful off the tongue. But again, because of that popularity, it just wouldn't work for us. Next on my list is Elsa. I just think it's such a beautiful name. I love that it's so short and simple, yet so feminine. It's still relatively low on the popularity. Last year it was at 487, though it peaked in the mid-200s in 2014 following the release of Frozen. So obviously it's a concern that it would become more popular because of the popularity with the movie. But it's also too similar to some members in our family. One of Justin's cousins' name is Ella, and so being so similar and, you know, being so recognizable, when people hear that name now, they will always think of the movie Frozen, so because of that, it just won't work for us. Next on the list is Declan. We especially love it because of its Irish heritage. In fact, it was unheard of here in the US until about 1998, but it has skyrocketed in popularity over the past couple years. I'm sure that's due in part to the show Revenge, but last year it made it all the way up to number 112. So even though it will work well for a family because of the Irish heritage, and it just rolls off the tongue so well, it just won't work for us. It's just gotten too popular. Next on the list is Elora. To me, it is a very strong female name. It just conjures up images of a very strong and beautiful woman who is just very confident in herself. It still has a very feminine air to it because it starts with EL and is the 3 syllables and ends with an A, but yet it's not too dainty of a name. However, even though I really loved it and talked a lot about it when we were pregnant with our daughter, my husband hates it. He just does not like it. And so because of that, it won't work for us. Next on the list is Kyler. I just love this name, and as the years go by and I hear it more and more, I love it more and more. Oftentimes when people have threads and Facebook groups asking for name suggestions, I always suggest this name because I just love it and I want other people to use it since I can't. Even though it's not super popular, it ranked at 287 last year. The reason we can't use it is because it ends with the L-E-R. It just sounds too rhymey with our last name Taylor. Kyler Taylor. It just doesn't really flow well. So because of that, we're not going to use it. Next for girls is Briley. There's a couple different ways you can spell this. Either way, it's still a very unique name, especially spelled this way. It ranks at 866 last year. I didn't really find a lot of history on it. I guess someone somewhere along the way just kind of made it up by mashing together a couple names. People think it's a cross between Bryn and Riley, both gorgeous names that I also really like. And I just loved Briley and I wanted it so bad during my pregnancy, but again, Justin does not like it at all, and so we won't be able to use it. Last for the boys is Elias. I love this name. It used to be relatively obscure, though it has become more and more popular over the most recent years, especially as Elijah has been gaining popularity. Last year it ranked at 100, so it is technically within the popular names, although 5 years ago when I was planning to name our son, it was more in like the low 300s. If you would have pressed me to choose a name before he was born, it probably would have ended up being Elias because I just really liked it a lot. Elias just conjures up images of a very strong boy, but who is also very warm-hearted and very well loved by people. It just seemed to fit the image in my head of what our son would be, and I still think it's a name that would fit him. We ended up actually going with it for being his middle name, so his name is Kaladin Elias, and I think that just flows so well. So because we've used it for his middle name, we wouldn't be able to use it as a first name for any potential future children. And lastly, for the girls is Evelyn. This name is so beautiful. One of my friends had strongly considered this name for her second pregnancy if it had turned out to be a girl. Man, this name is gorgeous. It's just so lovely and feminine. It's got so much history involved with it. I don't know, I just really like it a lot. However, so do a lot of other people. Last year ranked at number 15, so because of that, we'll never be able to use it. So there you have it. Those are 10 baby names I love but won't be using. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also be sure to check out that playlist in the description so you can watch all the other videos. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye!
Her pieces, one of their scarf? Yes, but it was, oh, did it go colored? It was this color. Oh, the blank sweater.
Ugly sweater? Red sweater.
Yes, that's it. Something that you can drink out of. Or
cup?